Hello, fellow word lovers. Welcome to Words I Love, where I talk about words I love. I'm Professor Snoozy. I'm so happy you could join me. Today, I'll be breaking down this week's words. For those of you just joining us, I make one short video flashcard every day with a word I personally love. Every week, I make this video where I talk about the word roots, I talk about other part of speech forms, and then I mention how often you may hear every one of the words of the week. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about this week's words: advantage, coalesce, distill, finite, grandiose, inclination, and whereas. But first, make sure you pay attention to the other guy. Subscribe and learn a new word every day. Let's talk about the word advantage. This comes from two Latin words. Ante or ante, which means before, is the root, and the prefix here is ob. Now, it looks like odd, and it gives me a chance to talk about Latin has two words, ad or ad for to, and ob or ab for from. I was taught the circle of the B points away from the A in ob, and the circle of the D points to the A in odd. That is a nice, easy way to remember it, but of course, English is never easy. So when other languages listen to Latin and the word comes down through other treatments and other pronunciations, odd can sometimes become ob can sometimes become odd. Here we have odd vantage or odd ante turning into from before. The idea being, if you want to start a battle, you want to be there first. If you want to have a fight, you want to get the advantage of being there first. So getting there first is the advantage. If you get there first, you're going to want to see what is around. So you have a vantage of the situation. Vantage means a viewpoint. That is another noun. Disadvantage means a thing that will work out against you in the battle or the fight or the conflict. I am at a disadvantage. I am at the advantage. I have the advantage. I want to gain the advantage. These are all nouns. Advantageous is an adjective. Coming to the battlefield early was advantageous if the other side does not have that advantage. Then they are at a disadvantage. We use this word all the time. Learn it, love it, use it. Coalesce. Coalesce comes from the prefix that we've seen before, com, in this place, co, which is with. Co, com, with. The root here is alicere, and that means to be nourished. So you can think of this as things come together and are nourished together and become whole. They all become one together. And that's what coalesce means. Clouds may coalesce. People's opinions may coalesce. Coalesce means something foggy comes together and is more defined afterwards. So my idea of a word will coalesce over time. Coalesce is a verb, so coalesced is past tense, or you can use that sometimes as an adjective. This is an idea. This is a coalesced idea. Coalescing is the noun form, or many other ways of using coalescing. Coalescence is the process of coalescing, and coalescent might mean something is forming up as we speak. It is coalescent. It is happening right now. This word you will not hear so often, but you will see it on tests quite often. Let's break down the word distill. Distill comes from a Latin root, stilla, which means to drip. You might find this in another word, stalactite or stalagmite, where water and stone drip over years and become large hanging stone structures. Stilla becomes distill. Distill here means to purify and condense a liquid, sometimes turning it into alcohol. We distill a corn mash to become whiskey. The process of distilling is take a liquid, we boil it, turn it into a gas. We then condense that gas back into a liquid, which condenses and purifies that liquid. We can also think of it in terms of distilling an idea or an argument. You might even distill a story if you write a story. Distill it for me might mean bring it down to the most important parts, more condensed and more powerful. Distill is a verb. The act of distilling, add an ing, and now it's a noun. A distiller is a person who distills, and the product of the process of distilling is distillate. So an alcohol is a distillate. You will hear this word all the time. Let's break down the word finite. Finite comes from the Latin root finitum or finitum, and that means to limit, to set limits, to cause an end, to find the end. Finite, finish, final. These are all words that come from the same Latin root. Finite is an adjective, and it means that this thing comes to an end. The amount of money in my bank account is finite. My money will come to an end eventually. May it not be soon. Finitude is the characteristic of being finite, but we don't use that very often. If we add the prefix in front of finite, we get infinite, and that means the opposite. It means it keeps on going. The numbers are infinite. My imagination is infinite. Infinite is an adjective. Finite is an adjective. Finitude is a noun. Infinity. I've never really heard finity before, but there is infinity, and that's the idea that something doesn't end, is a noun. You will hear this word all the time, finite and infinite both. Let's break down the word grandiose. Grand from Latin means big. You see this all the time. Grand itself means very big. Grandiose is a fun word, and it means someone is trying to appear big or impressive. So grandiose might be someone attempts to look big, but eventually will seem smaller or funny by trying so hard to look big. Grandiose can mean lots of presentation, lots of big gestures, lots of facial expressions. If I want to be grandiose, even a style of decorating your house. You might decorate the house in a grandiose fashion, which means probably that you want to appear more wealthy. Grandiose is a fun word indeed. Grandiose is an adjective, and grandiosity is the quality of being grandiose. You will see this word fairly often, and it will appear on many tests. Let's break down the word inclination. Inclination comes directly from Latin, and it means to slope or to bend. Think about something and you're inclined to do it, you will probably do that thing. So it means both the physical act of slope, and it also means the metaphysical idea of I am thinking about doing that thing. I am inclined. It's easier to go down the incline than to go up the incline. I have the tendency to do that. I have the inclination to take a walk every morning. Inclination makes it a noun. Incline is also a noun, and that means a slope. Incline, the verb, would mean to set something at an angle, or maybe to try to sway someone to think about something else in a new way. Inclined then can be an adjective. I am inclined to do this. I feel inclined to do that. Disinclination or disincline can be used for all of the other examples, but the opposite. I am disinclined to let you have all of the money in my pocket. You will hear inclination and all of the other forms I discussed very often. Let's break down the word whereas. Whereas is the two words where and as joined together. As means this thing exists. Where is in the location. So if I want to talk about this one thing, I want to think about it while thinking about another thing. Whereas one thing, I can do another thing. Whereas this thing exists, so this other thing might not exist. That's how we might use whereas. But really, the most often you will see this is in legal documents. Whereas this person says they are going to pay this money, if they don't, so on. This is a word that's very important to know if you want to have any kind of legal dealings in an English-speaking country. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's Words. Like the video and subscribe for more content. Write a sentence below with one of this week's words and I'll look over it and maybe you can get some points. Do you have a word you want me to cover? Let me know in the comments below and I'll get to it before too long. We took a small step to a better vocabulary today, but we need to remember that loving words is not a destination but a road. We walk it step by step. We live it day by day. We build it brick by brick. I'm Professor Snoozy. I'm so happy you could join me. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.